Um, a little bit of interesting stuff about me. So I'm actually a business owner, but I was born into a line of 7 generations of medical doctors. And in my line, no one went into medicine, but I'm still a doctor. I realize that I'm not a medical doctor, I'm a prayer doctor. And I've written this book for those who are on the visual part. It's called The Prayer of Freedom. And for those who are just listening, it's called The Prayer of Freedom. And that's what we'll be talking about. But one of the things that happened with me is I started to have just a desire to help people. Lord guided me, the God of the universe, guided me into how to approach Him in a way that He answers prayer. That's what we'll be talking about here. And the type of prayers that I've been working with and that He's been answering is getting rid of all kinds of mental illnesses and chronic pain, literally within 12 minutes or less. And it's been kind of amazing what's going on. So that's just a real quick intro
Yeah.
about me and
Yeah.
what we're going to talk about.
I love that. I love that because, as you know, my podcast and my book is talking about men's mental health and some elements, some symptoms that guys fall into when they're having issues is things like addiction, substance abuse, whether it's pornography or alcohol abuse, these kind of things. And I think when we first met, we spoke about you volunteering with people who've got abuse problems and how you've helped them because I'm looking at this now from finding out the issue, the abuse of a substance is a symptom, isn't it? It's not the cause of their problem. But the cause of their problem could be, trauma, something that's happened to them. And how do you fix it? I mean, I know how to identify that it's a symptom. I know how to get to the cause. How to fix that, I don't fully know. And it's different for everyone. But what I love about your work is you're using faith, you're using prayer, and you're using the love in that way to help people solve that problem and stop that symptom and solve maybe even the issue that's causing that.
So when you think about it, and I want to be real clear with the audience, this isn't a religious thing. This thing about prayer, whether you're, regardless of your religion, Muslim or Buddhist or Jew or Christian or atheist, generally speaking, most of us believe that there's probably some God that created all of this. And if He created all of that we see and He created us, then deep down, intrinsically, we believe that He can solve our problem because we can't. And I've taken this approach from that direction, I'm almost like a spiritual scientist, if you want to use the term. If you think about the physical sciences, understand physical laws by observing empirical data. And a spiritual scientist will understand spiritual laws by observing empirical data. And I teach at an addiction recovery center. There's about 500 residents that live there. My class is the favorite one because people get free. And routinely, the people that are coming through my class, I teach them this prayer of freedom. And it doesn't matter what religion they're with. Most of them end up with no addictions when they leave, mental illness issues, PTSD, bipolar 1 and 2, voices in their head, heaviness, depression, anxiety, panic attacks, none of that, all gone. Medications, they get off their medications. If they have chronic pain, all that stuff starts to leave. They start to repair those broken relationships. And what I've learned with all this is all these issues really have, for the most part, a spiritual root. I may not say 100%, but as I've tested this and taken my students through, it has about an 87% success rate in clearing all that stuff out of their lives. Let me share a story. This is a story of a woman. She was suffering with smoking addiction. She was smoking 3 packs of cigarettes a day, could not stop. And she went and she spoke with a pastor who understood this stuff. And he said, basically, where did you learn to smoke cigarettes? She said, I was about 8 or 10 years old, and my babysitter taught me how to smoke and gave me my first pack. So now you have where it began. That's the source. But in the spiritual side of things, there's actually a spiritual connection between the babysitter and her. And so that's where the spiritual root is. So he simply led her to break that spiritual connection
Mm-hmm.
that she didn't even realize existed. And she left his office that day, never smoking another cigarette again. So what we say is, well, I can't stop because I just can't get it out. But you can get it out if you work at it at the spiritual level, because once you get the spiritual root out, then the addiction goes with it. And that's what I consistently see. And it's not only addiction, it's anger, it's
Yeah.
fear,
Yeah.
it's pornography, it's whatever it is. You get to the spiritual root, get rid of that. And the way you get rid of the root is basically say, Lord, God, I'm sorry I did it. Would you please take this away?
Yeah.
That's a very simplistic thing. Maybe we'll role play in just a moment.